I'm a proud UJ alumnus. Actually, I'm an old Rauki, RAU, and I'm proud of my master's in labor law that I got from Rau. Interestingly, I did my first 2 degrees at Vista University. Many of you will know the 2 campuses of Vista were incorporated into Rau. And I hold an LLD, which is a doctorate in law, from the University of Johannesburg. And as I say, from the great University of Johannesburg. Now, it's interesting because when I registered, and it's not about me, but allow me to wear 2 hats, my hat as an alumnus and my hat as a vice-chancellor. When I registered for my LLD, it was Rau. When I graduated, it was UJ. We were the first group that got PhDs from UJ. I mean, we didn't even know what this logo will look like on this thing. I never liked the logo. I'll be honest with you. And I had it cost millions, and I'm like, what for this? For this bits, But I love this logo. I love color orange. I've got an orange suit because I want to lead. If you look at my LinkedIn pages, I'm wearing this orange suit, orange socks. I couldn't get it back from the dry cleaners on time to wear it now, but definitely I'm proud of this institution. And when I look back, I forgave myself a long time ago for not liking this logo and everything, because I said, as a lawyer, I looked at this from both sides, for and against. And I'm like, but look, when this logo came out, it meant nothing. It was just a logo, 2 birds, right? There are people who were saying, when they criticized our institution, they were saying that logo is 2 birds stealing a television. This is what people were saying. Can you see it? Some said the book is empty. What is this thing that the people will tell us? But I love it because, and we love it because, and look at it from this point of view, colleagues, before I talk about why we love it. When this was put together, it meant nothing. It could have been another failure, another failed measure. But it's the people that made it what it is. It is you who studied with us, who continue to support us, who made that logo to be something valuable. I mean, the awards that our marketing team are winning every day for marketing, branding, it's just amazing. And every year, I mean, this logo is gaining and gaining in terms of its weight, if I could call it that. I think it's the most beautiful logo of a university. And I looked at other institutions, and I'm not here to bash anyone. When they came with their logos, I'm like, no, they are not close to the logos of the great University of Johannesburg. But that is their problem. It's because of what invested in this. Allow me to say a word or two about Prof. Ben, one of the most amazing human beings I've ever met. Always sincere. Prof. Ben speaks from the heart. He speaks his mind. Like me, sometimes less diplomatic. When I served as the executive dean of the Faculty of Law, our faculty is on the 7th floor of A Ring, if you remember the ring. And I came out of the gents and I bumped into Prof. Ben. I hope you remember that. He said, look, it's not my place. How are you? But I have to tell you, did you see there's an advert of Deputy Vice-Chancellor? I hope you're going to apply. I'm serious. I said, Prof. Ben, I'll consider this. I said, no, you better apply. And I was like, do I apply or not? But after speaking to Prof. Ben, I went ahead and applied. And thanks, Prof. Ben, for believing in me. Because I knew as a professor that gave socks at graduations, Prof. Ben would have this funky, not funky, but funky in a positive way, socks. And then you see how he's sitting at the graduation will be like that. And then you see the socks. And I was like, where do you get this? And I'll organize you a pair. Then I get a pair. I take it home. My wife took it. And I was like, don't be surprised. I'm not wearing the socks. And my wife took them. I thought he would say, oh, well, that's it. It's tough luck, He said, no, I'll send you more. And so on. And Prof. Ben, thank you so much. That logo means so much because of men like you who stayed and believed in this young and new university. At UJ, ladies and gentlemen, we transform lives, as you know. And for someone like me, when I look at our students from all walks of life, I can see myself. That's why I say my role at the great University of Johannesburg is more than just being a vice-chancellor, getting a salary. If you told me that I would be vice-chancellor of this university, I would have wet my pants laughing. I'm serious. But this institution, as I was speaking to one of our alumni from the Faculty of Law, based at this law firm that is hosting us, and we're grateful for them for providing this venue, I would have never thought, that one day one would become a vice-chancellor, dean, deputy vice-chancellor, and all that. And I said something to her that this university believed in me, took a chance in me, and many other people that came as a Paladi, sorry for putting you on the spot. You started as a student assistant and went up through the ranks to head of faculty administration, now senior manager. Daphne, I remember when I first met you, you worked as you worked at student finance. There are many such cases where people came through the ranks. The university took a serious risk. It believed in me and gambled with me. And how many universities would do that? You engage with people that, are told all sorts of stories, people who are talented, and we bring them to the great University of Johannesburg. They realize their full potential. Ladies and gentlemen, we're building a university that one day will be 100 years old. We're 20 as the University of Johannesburg. Of course, we've got RAU, we've got TWR, and so on. The 2 Vista campuses that we incorporated. We're building a university that one day will be 100. But there's something that I need you to keep at the back of your minds. We can cruise along, and one day UJ will be 100, and will be just a useless 100-year-old university. Not us at UJ. Because we want you when you walk here in London to wear orange. Your blood is orange. And when people ask you about the great University of Johannesburg, you can tell them with pride that I studied at that university. I'm grateful that I got my PhD, LLD from UJ, because I would be standing in front of you as a man with degrees from universities that do not exist. So I'd be like a con man saying, it used to be called this, and people start not trusting you. And then it was a huge gamble because there were people who were saying those people that registered during the RAU days should insist on getting degrees with a RAU logo. I frankly couldn't care, I was happy. I finished my PhD and so on, and I'm glad that I have that. And I'm proud alumnus of this great university. Now, UJ took a decision to say, we want to show the world that access and excellence are not mutually exclusive. Many of our students are first generation to come to university. Some of our students go for a day without a warm meal, but we don't say that is not our problem. It's our problem. We go out of our way to feed our students, to support our students to be the best that they can be. Why? Because education, ladies and gentlemen, as our great leader Nelson Mandela once said, and I paraphrase, is a tool that can transform a life, of a daughter, son of a domestic worker to hold the highest office in the land. It's one of the ways that we will be able to transform our country and our continent. It's the training we give. One of our colleagues always reminds me, he's a Zulu man, he always say to me, Mpedi, it's like, boss, mark my words, the future of this country will be in the hands of people who graduated at the great University of Johannesburg. And I believe him, because how we empower our student leaders. Prof. Ben talked about no lost classes. People have strikes and all those. Some of those things are things that are avoidable. It's because we work closely with our students. We give them opportunities to grow their leadership skills so that they become proper leaders. At UJ, to become a student representative, you need to carry a full load, ladies and gentlemen, and you need to pass everything. It's not unusual to have somebody with a master's degree or pursuing a master's qualification being part of the student leadership, and we see that. Because these young men and women one day are going to be leaders, and we need them to lead with integrity, honor, and take our country forward. Something that we are also doing is to show that it's not about how old you are. It's about how you go out there and get things done. The team knows, everybody knows at UJ, that UJ is a high performance organization. We mean business, ladies and gentlemen. Because if we don't get this foundation right now, 100-year-old UJ will not be any UJ that is worth anything. But at this rate, I can assure you, our great-grandchildren will say, Grandpa studied at that great university because of the work that we are doing. And people look at us and say, how are they doing this? Are they cheating? No. We work hard, right decision, strong leadership, strong teams, your support, and we'll continue to build. Now, our students come with dreams and wishes, and our task is to make those dreams come true. But we also want to make sure that our graduates, graduate and they leave the university with a heart, knowing that they go out there and deal with human beings and never stop being human. And never think that they are special because they got education. They must think about others that were not fortunate. I always make this point that I come from this village, 1 hour's drive north of Pretoria. There's a place called Hammanskraal. There are a number of my homeboys and homegirls that are smarter than me. And I work hard, but they work harder than me. But they were not as fortunate. I was lucky, I won't lie to you. I was lucky because here and there I met somebody who believed in me. And I'm not here to talk about my family, but I don't like talking about this, but allow me to talk about this. We at UJ, when we say, please partner with us in whatever way you can, it could be as a mentor. We've got young men and women that require guidance, inspiration, that it's possible. Because when people see us, they say, oh, you're a vice-chancellor, you probably come from a wealthy family. And I'm saying, no, I come from a village where I walked without shoes. I say, vice-chancellor, I also come from a village. I never had shoes. I'm going to work hard and be better than you. And I say, you go. We need inspiration. Of course, you don't have to be walking barefooted, to be an inspiration, no. So as an institution, we want to give people hope. We want people to know that there are other people who care. And we don't just ask others to contribute in whatever way. We lead from the front. Allow me, and I don't like talking about it, we have skin in the game. My family contributes annually minimum 250,000 rands towards a bursary fund. Although it's in a particular area which is close to our hearts, which is neurodiversity. Because today people are obsessed, and rightly so, I guess, with diversity from a race point of view, gender point of view, sexual orientation, but they forget about other people, the marginalized and the forgotten about amongst us, persons with disabilities, neurodivergent individuals, and so on. And I'm not saying you should contribute. I'm just saying if you have a particular area you're passionate about, partner with us so that we can make that whatever you want to achieve there a reality. You won't be alone. We'll be working with you. We also have colleagues that don't want to be named. The other day, Madam CFO, you indicated one of our execs contributed 500,000 and doesn't want it to be known. I'm still trying to understand who this was, because I want to say thank you, but we respect people's wishes. So you won't be doing this alone. Now, what do we want with UJ? What do we want UJ to be, ladies and gentlemen? Our dream is for UJ not to be number one in the world. We want UJ to be number one for the world. People are proud of how exclusive they are, how they keep people outside, how they are part of that elite group. That is so yesterday and arrogant. We want to be the best for the world. We want people to say that university gave me that opportunity that no one gave me. I mean, accountancy, Prof. Ben, I met a number of CAs, colleagues that tell me that had it not been for UJ, Prof. Ben is famous. I would not be a CA today, because there are universities, if you didn't study with them, they won't take you through that stream, if I could call it that. But Prof. Ben takes everyone. Prof. Ben goes to rural villages and work with rural universities to empower people and so on. And we're proud of that and we'll continue to do that. By the way, when you were acting, Dean, you gave me a hoodie, the CTA hoodie from Investec. And I was wearing it the other day and people were like asking, looking at me like I'm the CA. And I'm like, yeah. Like, I don't ask, I don't say anything. I just walk there and look the part, you know. But this year I didn't get it. So now I know Kubos, I know Stelo. If you don't give me, I'll go right at the source. On a serious note, ladies and gentlemen, we don't want to be number one in the world. We want to be a number one university for the world. We want people, you know, who tell us that had it not been for UJ, I wouldn't be where I am. At that Investec event, what an event. I mean, around 600 people, sushi everywhere. I never ate so much sushi in my life. Thank you, Investec. I met this fellow because we also have a closet. Just allow me to speak freely, ladies and gentlemen. We have this closet where if you have clothes, corporate clothes that do not fit anymore, you can send them our way. We'll send them to for dry cleaning, and students can come discreetly, fit, and then take them. They don't bring them back and go for interviews, because we realize that when we prepare people for interviews, people always say dress in a smart way and so on, you know, and things we take for granted. I thought about myself when I started lecturing. I didn't have a watch. I mean, it was not priority. As I was teaching, I would walk around and look at students' watches to see if I'm still within the time. And one girl said, but how do you see? You always worry me that you'll go over the time. No, I had to check because I didn't. Then I bought it with my first salary and a tie and things like that. But, you know, we know these things. And that is the beauty of us having gone through this, because we understand these things. People say dress well and you don't. So at Investec, I met this CA from vendor. And I talked about this closet that we are running. And he told me that, hey, Prof, what you are saying is true. He told me his story. He said when he went for interviews, I think he works for you guys at Investec, but I'm not sure if he went to Investec for interviews. That he didn't say. He said he was wearing clothes that he didn't match. He borrowed a shirt. He's a big guy. A shirt that fitted him was pink. So he went with a pink shirt, tight, you know, and shoes that pinched and so on. And he came with the taxi. So let's say the address is number 100. So he alighted the taxi at number 50 so that he can walk. He didn't want to miss the place so that he doesn't, then he becomes late, and he got the job. He said, Prof, you say that with humor, but you know, it's reality, and thanks for doing this. So a lot of people work with us in that space, and we continue to do this. You know, I gave this example another evening of a young man I taught labor law when I was teaching full-time. He benefited from our feeding program. I met him at a conference in Stellenbosch. Poverty can rough a person up, eh? And he came and said, Prof, do you remember me? I'm like, yeah, you know, you look familiar. He said, you taught me labor law. And I said, I remember you. He said, hey, Prof, that feeding program helped, you know. He had this bespoke suit, was a partner at one of the top 5 law firms. Now he started his own law firm. He's doing well. He wins awards and so on. I said, yeah, you know, let's talk. We still run that program. And we still have students that we want to empower. You have to come and contribute. I had to tell him. He said, worry not. I will contribute in my own personal capacity, and I will bring partners. And Madam CFO, you were there when we hosted the partners. They donated. They even brought non-perishable food for Mandela Day twice, actually, and so on. This is how we pay it forward, and we're going to transform lives. Now, what about your university? Your university is growing from strength to strength. Our university. When we say, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want Simons and Simons to kick us out, but at UJ, we say, UJ. It means you graduated not so long ago. You see, Kovos is looking at me, he's like, what is this? And all the way. Look, Leon, Tupac has a song where he says, when they see me, they run. When they see us, they run. because we say UJ innovates and others imitate. I can tell you that UJ is going places. We want to set the bar so high, Madam CFO, that the next CFO, the next Vice-Chancellor goes there, saying, look, I don't want to be the one that brings this thing. I must set this bar, take things to the next level because the foundation is set. This is what we are doing. We're building a university that one day will be 100 years old and it must thrive. So what is it that we've been up to quickly? And what backs this thing? Because sometimes when you say great, Trevor Noah has got, the comedian has got this show where he said, he jokes about, and I must be careful about the British in India, and then an Indian man saying, you call yourself Great Britain. Who called you great? So I think about him all the time when I say the great University of Johannesburg. But we've got a lot to back this up. Not that Great Britain doesn't have anything, to back this up. I must be careful. I do not upset our gracious host. Leon, I don't want you this ungrateful Vice-Chancellor. When we started as a university that was accused of having a logo with two beds stealing a television, we were nowhere, to be rankings. We don't live for rankings, but when we are ranked, we accepted, with the greatest of humility. So UJ, 3 years in a row, we are now the largest producer of accredited, that is subsidized quality research by the Department of Higher Education and Training. Last year, the gap between number 1 and number 2 was about 80-something units. We work with units. This year, the gap between number 1 and number 2, number 1 us, of course, you can put in 16 universities and have change. This is serious business. I like how the Afrikaans newspaper put it, one Afrikaans newspaper said, amper 1,000, almost 1,000, because I used to say 851 units, but when you say almost 1,000, it has got more, And it's not lousy work, Most of our collaboration is with international universities. There was a time when I would come with my business card when I was dean to deans from other universities all over the world and say, I'm Letlhokwa Mpedi from the University of Johannesburg. Here's my card. They would say, which university? I say UJ, University of Johannesburg. They would say, you who? And walk away. Now, people come and say, we were thinking, wondering if you would consider partnering with us. It's incredible. In the technology space, where the University of the Fourth Industrial Revolution, top universities come and say, we don't have these systems. We can learn from you. I mean, we hosted some people recently, and when they hear about our, when you applied, you had to bring copies of your IDs, certified. Not anymore. When you apply at UJ, you take a selfie. It cross-references you with the relevant databases. Within seconds, you're confirmed to be who you are. No more photocopies. If you haven't downloaded your digital certificate, please go to uj.ac.za and sign up. And if you have difficulties, let us know. Then you can download your digital certificate. The certificates from the Great University of Johannesburg are on blockchain now. If somebody's looking for a job, you don't have to even certify UJ's copies. You take your smartphone, scan the QR code, it takes you to a secure site. It will tell you when the degree was awarded, what time, whether it has been revoked or not. And I can say a lot of things that, for this academic year, we are the most preferred university by young people. For this academic year, we received almost, how many? 700,000 applications for 10,900 seats, ladies and gentlemen. It tells you a lot, ne? I said to my colleagues that newspaper that runs this survey, Generation Next, or what is it, Generation X, they say the best preferred, the this survey young people about their preferred brands. Toothpaste, number one, this. Shoe polish, cars, and so on. Always ranked UJ number 2, next to that university, next to the mountain. This year, I say, look, if UJ is not ranked number 1, then I don't know. I mean, 700,000 applications, and these are young people. They want to study at the great University of Johannesburg. What better vote do we need, you know? So you would think that we have an army of people who process this thing, these applications. No, actually, we have less numbers of people working on applications than when we were students. Less than 1%, ladies and gentlemen, of application or queries are escalated to a human being. All are processed. We use robots, WhatsApp integrated into this, replying 24 hours and so on. We sent millions of communications, SMS, WhatsApp messages, emails, all auto-generated and so on and on point. Just one example. In terms of our standing and stature, ladies and gentlemen, from that university that was accused of all those things that I said, now to number 1 university in South Africa using many rankings is incredible. And people are like, how do they do it? They must be cheating and so on. And I'm like, the way we are climbing, I don't know, they will run out of excuses. Because UJ is invariably the only university in many rankings that is climbing all the time, whereas others are at the top, but they are coming down. In the rankings where we are in the top 5, top 4, top 3, let me use the latest. One of my favorite rankings is impact rankings, Times Higher Education impact rankings. These rankings measure a university's contribution towards the realization of sustainable development goals. It's 3 years now, we've been ranked number 1 in Africa. Last year, we were ranked number 36 in the world. This year, ladies and gentlemen, we are ranked number 23 in the world. We are in the top 3. We are ranked number 2 in the world in terms of our contribution towards the realization of SDG 1, no poverty, and will continue to grow. I was interviewed by the South African Broadcasting Corporation a week or so about this. They asked me where to. I say, we are coming to the position number 1 in the world. That is one way of showing what UJ is good for, you know. That what I said earlier about UJ being number 1 for the world, because it would say we're doing a lot to help realize the sustainable development goals, which are about the people. We work with communities. We have adopted villages, schools. Just one quick point example, there's a school in Limpopo called Hanyane High School. Kids wake up at 4 a.m. to be at school at 8. That place is rough, Prof. Ben. Have you been there? You have, because you sponsored a borehole, right? With solar panel. People used to drink water from the river. Now they are drinking water that is pumped using solar panels and so on. It's rough there. You need a 4x4, you know, these cars with off-road tires, you know, otherwise you are in trouble. But anyway, UJ, together with the generous donor, set up a learning center. The pass rate for the matric, you know, the last year, high school, was somewhere around, 57%. After this intervention, with satellite internet, you can have all the data you need on your phone, but there's no internet connectivity. There's no mobile network that connects. There we use satellite internet at a village. And there are Wi-Fi connecting points. Even if the learning center is locked, people can sit under a light and connect to their homeworks. To cut a long story short, the first cohort that benefited from this intervention graduated end of last year. The pass rate went up to 94.7. And this is what we call societal impact. As I conclude, UJ adopted and launched its strategic plan 2035 last year. There are 4 values that we work with, 4 eyes. Where I come from, when you say 4 eyes, they refer to glasses. That here is I for India: integrity, impact, inclusivity, and innovation. These are our values, and they are interlinked. There are 3 pillars or themes. One is societal impact and sustainability, global footprint and partnerships, lastly, technology for the future. And these are intertwined. We want to use this technology to have a positive impact on the society, communities around us. It doesn't help to sit there and say, look at us, we are the best, while people are unemployed, while people are going to bed hungry and so on. So please stay in touch with your alma mater. Tell others that no, that logo represents something special. Our blood is orange. We transform lives, ladies and gentlemen. We give people hope, and we'll continue to do that. From our end, we'll continue to excel, ladies and gentlemen, to make you proud wherever you are. You are a small representation of over how many? Over 200,000 of our alumni. That is contactable, and we're working on this database. And we are also hunting down our old raukies, everybody, TWR, to make sure that they come back home. We continue to work together. So, ladies and gentlemen, what is it that we are saying to you today? We say, as alumni and members of our convocation, you remain an integral part of this dynamic community built on strong values and a legacy of success. We are not a Mickey Mouse outfit. We are a force to be reckoned with. And I mean it. People spend time just checking what UJ is doing. Some come and confess and say, we copied this from you. As they say, imitation is the highest form of flattery, isn't it? Some copy and then act like we copied them. that we forgive them, And if they can copy us in doing right things, I can tell you we can transform this world. So we say to you, your journey with UJ continues. And together, ladies and gentlemen, we are tasked with reimagining the future. At UJ, we say we are not afraid of the future because we are busy reimagining it. This year presents new and exciting opportunities to make a tangible difference. Please join us in making that difference. Ladies and gentlemen, one thing that we need you to keep in mind is that, there are challenges and there are things to be done, If we don't do anything, we don't take that step, then we won't go anywhere. There is this African saying that not everyone who chased the zebra caught it. Now, I don't know if this is the Investec zebra. After that evening with sushi, when I see a zebra, I look at it differently now. Because we are regular visitors to the Kruger. Not everyone who chased the zebra caught it, but he who caught it chased it. That is an African saying. This reminds us that the pursuit of our goals, no matter how challenging, ladies and gentlemen, is what leads to achievement. UJ is not just preparing for the future. We are actively shaping it. Please be part of that exercise of actively shaping this. And as your leaders, we'll continue to make you proud. Thank you so much for your attention, and thanks for coming.